The Cement Grave. It started with concrete. Fresh, wet concrete poured under the pale glow of industrial floodlights, hissing and bubbling like a beast being fed. It was 3:17 a.m., a cold October night on the outskirts of Chicago, where a new apartment complex was being built over land nobody wanted to talk about. The project had been behind schedule for weeks, so when Luis, a young immigrant worker, fell into the pit, tangled in rebar, screaming as his leg broke on impact, nobody had time to react. They heard him. Oh, they heard him. "Ayuda, I'm still here." But the foreman, a fat man with tired eyes and an expensive watch, shook his head. "We stop now. The whole foundation's compromised. Cover it." And they did. The hose kept pumping. The gray sludge swallowed Luis's voice and then his face. By the time the sun rose, there was no sign of him. Only a smooth, perfect floor. A worker puked in the corner. Another quit on the spot. They never reported it. They buried him twice. Once in concrete, once in silence. 2 weeks later, the site was cursed. First came the machines, refusing to start, then revving at night on their own, their engines howling in the dark. Then tools vanished. Then came the footsteps, concrete boots, wet, heavy, dragging. A night guard quit after seeing what he described as a man dripping cement from his face, standing still in the elevator shaft. He didn't even wait for his paycheck. But the site couldn't shut down. Too much money, too much pride. So the foreman brought in a cleaner, an old man named Jerome, who claimed he was part Cherokee, part Pentecostal, and fully crazy. But Jerome knew how to handle troubled ground. He walked the site with a pouch of ash and crushed sage, muttering to himself. He paused above the exact spot where Luis had fallen and placed his ear to the floor. Then he whispered, "He's not gone. You poured him into the bones of this place." That night, Jerome did a ceremony. Candles, salt, a circle of red sand. He chanted in a language no one recognized. Around midnight, the ground began to crack. A deep, low groan echoed from beneath. Then, a sound no one forgot. A hand, gray and stiff, broke through the floor. The fingers twisted like they were waking up. The men screamed. Jerome only whispered, "He wants to be remembered." 10 years later. The building was finished but stood empty for nearly a decade. People said it was haunted. A few tried to live there, but never stayed more than a week. And then, as property values rose, a young family finally moved in. Jessica and Dan with their 6-year-old son, Oliver. They loved the cheap rent, the quiet halls, the thick concrete walls. On their first night, Oliver woke up crying. "There's a man in the basement," he whispered. "He's looking at me." Jessica checked. Nothing. She brushed it off. But the next night, Oliver said something different. "He's still wet." Damn well. Kids and their imagination. Until they found gray footprints, wet, leading from the basement stairs to Oliver's bedroom. They never found out who he was, but the walls still remember. And some nights, if you press your ear to the basement floor, you can still hear it. Thump. Drag. "I'm still here,"